All right, I just made a video about how casual sex does not benefit women. And now I'm going to make another video about the issue of women withholding sex from their boyfriends and husbands. The issue of women rationing sex or withholding sex because men in a relationship deserve to have sex. Um, but there's a reason that women often don't want it. So, how are we going to resolve this dilemma? Are you going to rape your wife and just, you want to be a predator? A healthy man wants to have sex with a woman who wants it. Are you going to have sex with her because she relents and lays there like a starfish? I want to know how many of you are having sex with your wife who does you a favor or who lays there like a starfish or who gives you what I call duty sex or pity sex. I feel sorry for him. I guess I can just lay here. A healthy man doesn't want that kind of sex, and you don't have to put up with that kind of sex. And other women just ration sex, like, oh, it's Valentine's Day, so I guess I'll do it. She doesn't want to do it. What is going on here? Now, here's a lesson for, I think that women have to be very aware of how important sex is to men. And men have to be very aware of why your wife is repulsed by you, disinterested in you, and disdains you sexually. This is a completely different topic. In the casual hookup video, we talked about how casual sex doesn't benefit women. Then we know in the first few months or even the first 2 years of a relationship, the woman wants a lot of sex with her guy and she's super turned on. And I've had even people telling me they've had sex 5 times a day. Early in a relationship, many people are having sex 5 times a day. They're constantly turned on by each other. And then when the novelty wears off, the woman will lose a lot of desire. Now, the man will not anymore usually want it 5 times a day because we're talking about new relationship energy. But the man will still want it the same way he wanted it before, the same way he wanted it in the casual hookup. His desire is just higher. And again, the woman is very choosy because if certain factors don't line up, she doesn't want it. Now, this video is inspired by someone who wrote, there's no benefit to rationing sex for men. We don't get something in return for withholding. I don't understand what he means by that. So let me continue. Married women get plenty by rationing sex. I don't like women rationing sex. It's very manipulative. But anyway, by requiring more and more from her husband before having access to sex, she gets something tangible now. I knew men my age in my 30s who were down to only birthday sex and Christmas sex. That's it. Twice a year. That's not a marriage, that's extortion in exchange for resources. I agree completely. Let's continue. When the wife starts rationing sex, that's when it should end, guys. You married for access to regular sex. Not once in a blue moon did something extra special to get sex. When she rations, move out, move on, and let her start searching for her next rationing target. Okay, so that's a little bit nuanced. There are a lot of things that a man ought to do first before moving out. But if all these things don't work, I think you should end the relationship. I do not see the point of being in a relationship unless you're an asexual guy. You deserve to have good sex in your relationship. However, in order to maintain female desire in a long-term relationship, you have to be a man that is desirable to her, the same way you were when you met her. And a lot of men lose their desirability because they get fat and unattractive. They become annoying. They become another child she has to take care of. They become boring because they're home all the time. They're not exciting anymore and interesting anymore. And they become people pleasers. And these are huge turnoffs. And these are not the men you were when you met her. So my general advice to men is you got to be a man that is still attractive to other women because love does not equal desire and women are not down to fuck like men are. just because she married you and she loved you doesn't mean that she's going to be horny for you. So there are things a man should do: get in shape, hit the gym, make sure your clothes are reasonably attractive. You got to be physically attractive. Get out of the house, create some space, have something interesting going on. Don't bargain for sex, for God's sake. Don't manipulate her into sex. That's manipulative and it's a turnoff. If I do these chores, she'll fuck me. That's loser status. I'm sorry, that is so repulsive. So don't people please your way into sex, and be willing to confront challenges in the relationship. Don't be a people pleaser. You got to stop that. I think those 3 tips are simply enough. Now, if you've done all these things and she still doesn't want to have sex with you, you got to have a conversation about what's going on with her. Is she, feeling something unhappy in her life? Is she like overly stressed? Is she maybe, she's just had kids or something, or she's worried about something? You can get her out of the house. You can talk to her. Maybe she can go to therapy. If she doesn't feel good about herself or good about her body, she's not really going to want to have sex. If she doesn't feel close to you, are there things in the relationship in the way? And then, of course, some of you could be married to women who are going through a medical issue, a temporary medical issue. But if you're just in a regular relationship and you're like a guy that other women still want and you're on point and she doesn't want to have sex with you, why are you in that relationship? Now you're being a people pleaser, and we all get the relationships that we agree with and put up with. On my website, I have a link to how to maintain female desire in long-term relationships, and I encourage you to check that out. A lot of it is based on what I read in the book, The Dead Bedroom Fix by DSO, and I added my own points. One of them being that some guys are just bad in bed. And when she first met you, she was happy to have the sex because how she felt about you. But now the bad sex has taken over. You're too gropey, you're too quick, you don't kiss well, you're too quick to go for the pussy, you're boring in bed, whatever. You just lay there because you're fat, you're boring in bed. Like, you haven't nurtured the relationship at all. You're just trying to get sex to feel close, but she needs to feel close to want sex. So I encourage you to read that blog post on my website. And I'm also interested in your comments because I always want to learn more. I'm very fascinated by the differences in men and women when it comes to sex, and also how to maintain desire in a long-term relationship. If this topic interests you, Esther Perel has a lot to say about that. She's really good on that topic. And The Dead Bedroom Fix is another good resource for you. But yeah, if you want to maintain your wife's interest, you've got to be a man who's physically attractive, who's somewhat dominant, not a people pleaser, and who's got something going on so that she can look at you and go, oh my God, I want him. And that's not going to happen just because your dick is hard. We're not like you. Like, when I was married, I could come out of the shower and my husband would want to fuck me, but he hadn't taken me on a date in months. So I was like, no. And I started closing the door when I went in the shower because I didn't want to be groped for sex when he hadn't held my hand, taken me on a date, or asked me how my day was. And he wasn't a bad guy. He was just emotionally a little bit unattuned, I would say. So that's how we ended up for years in a sexless marriage. So I know I've been the woman in the sexless marriage because I lost my desire for him. Even things like he gained a few pounds, I didn't find him as attractive anymore. Or when he was really good at his job and he was due for a promotion and a raise, like he would get promotions without the raise and he wouldn't speak up. So I disrespected him for that. I didn't want to fuck a man I disrespected. Like, it was a turnoff. But yeah, I had a lot of duty sex too. There were many years where I wasn't going to say no to sex with my husband, so I would just endure it and wonder, be like, I hope this is over soon. This is so boring. Because he was also not that good in bed. He didn't connect with me with eye contact and emotionally. So I speak from my own experience, you know, and I also hear from men whose wives don't want to have sex with them anymore. And I always want to speak to the wives. Like, why did you stop wanting to have sex with your husband? And usually they'll say it's menopause, but I think menopause just makes women crave a primal man. And if the husband isn't primal, she doesn't want it anymore. She needs it to be primal. She needs to feel attracted to him in a more primal way. This is my theory. Other times women lose interest because they're mad at him, or, you know, they have a health issue, or, you know, she's just had kids. Kids are going to be a cock blocker for sure, because who wants to have sex when your kids can walk in? We as women don't. It's like not happening. It's got to get her out of the house. Like, it's such a great topic. Or if the guy is always sitting around at home, like, you're not attractive to me. You're just sitting on the sofa working and you look depressed or angry at your job. So you're not very attractive. So see, that's what I mean. But when we were first dating, you were happier and I didn't see you moping around in your old t-shirt. Like, there's so many ways to just turn us off. So that's what I mean. That's why it takes a man skilled at relationship and a man who wants to stay on top of his game in a relationship to be able to maintain a woman's desire in a long-term relationship. And I tell you what, if I see a woman who still likes to fuck her husband 5 years in, that man is like, that's a high status man. That is a proven high status man. I tell you that, because that is, few men can manage that. Few men. It also takes a woman who likes sex. There are some women who never liked sex. This is also in my blog post. They never liked sex because they were sexually shamed. They were sexually violated, either mentally by being told sex is bad through their religion, emotionally shamed for it, or physically traumatized by being sexually violated. So these women never liked sex. So when I ask guys, did she ever like sex? Half of them will say, no, she never really liked it. Okay, well, why do you expect her to like it now? It's only going to go downhill from where it was. So if it wasn't 5 times a day in the beginning, you know, if it was like once a week in the beginning, you're going to be in a dead end, no sex marriage. And, you know, sex isn't everything, so that may not be important to you. But if it is important to you as part of your relationship, staying longer and begging for it is not going to help. It's just going to turn her off when you beg for it. Another thing to look for, if you come up to your wife and you touch her and she flinches, you know, you've got to be able to touch her when you don't want sex. Otherwise, it just feels like we're just like your object. Like, we want to be seen as whole people. Anyway, if you read my blog post, I would really appreciate any feedback you have on how I can improve on it. So I look forward to hearing your comments on that, and thank you for watching my video.